Okay, so one of the three things I was going to update about is COVID-19 and changes to behaviour in the city. So obviously we track an awful lot of vehicles moving around, and we can use that as a sensor to look at behaviour and behaviour change. And what you're seeing here is the change of behaviour in the UK linked to the time in which people are actually moving around and going on journeys. And you can see how at the beginning, normalised behaviour, rush hour in the morning and the afternoon, completely changed with lockdown 1 and then evolved slowly over this period. So we've been studying this quite a lot, and also providing information into a whole range of different industries to help inform from the data that we're seeing. So if we look at particular places, what you'll see here is the UK government tracks COVID behaviour from 285 locations in the UK. So they're single sensor points, and they use that as the means to try and get the barometer of where they are. We're looking at billions of data points. And from this, you can see the pattern of behaviour. So you'll see there's a black line on here, that's the national average, and then you have the blue line of behaviour. So you'll see everything dropped after COVID, which is the bigger blue block, compared to the week in orange. And you'll see here that Southport is pretty much bang on the national average. And that's fairly typical in lots of areas of the UK, have a similar level of effect and so on. But you'll get a whole variety of differences. So Devon, of course, everyone rushed to it in the summer and whenever it was sunny. So every weekend you get ridiculous peaks over the norm where people have jumped their behaviour, actually including traffic levels beyond the norm for the time of year. But Sheffield, regarding the feedback of this at the moment, what you're seeing here is that the blue line is decreased from the national average almost uniformly across that pattern, showing that there is less driving going on compared to the national average in terms of the impact. So there's less vehicles moving around than there are compared to nationally. So we can look at this from different areas and see the effects, which actually can be linked to economic effects and societal effects, particularly when you start looking at time of day. So I just wanted to advertise that we're doing this work and we're looking more at this. It's something that is ongoing, so it's something that we're doing a lot more in, but just a quick taste of some of the things we're looking at. Second one I just wanted to give an update on is the rat running behaviour and active travel. And we've been looking at this area for a while. I think I may have even mentioned it in a prior smart meeting previously, so this is just a update to some of that, whereby an important thing is out, and obviously this is not us, and certainly not the image with the red traffic lights, which is slightly wrong. But there is a lot of things that are coming and changing around the Sheffield area, and this is just part of a 2040 strategy to transform the road networks. There is consultations about this at the moment. I do invite people to get involved. But these changes, we're feeding into those with data about how neighbourhoods are used. So traffic through neighbourhoods that isn't appropriate to be there is something that you can start to address and you can evidence. So you can see the amount of traffic that's travelling through a residential area. It comes from the degrees of that in terms of the amounts of cars per hour, and then ultimately how many of them are through traffic through an area. So you can use this as an evidence base to drive societal change in terms of changing road use. And this is something we've been doing for a while, but what's not known is we've been doing this extensively across the UK. So there's a lot of the work that's been done in terms of low traffic neighbourhoods across the UK is powered by data that we're now providing. And this includes traffic routing, virtual ANPR studies, and so on, in terms of being able to see the flow of traffic from one location and where they go next, in terms of the routes that people end up taking to inform traffic programs. Now, what we're trying to do next, and the important point to note on here is the actual next part, is that we have a number of plans in place to build a test bed for advancing this, because we're getting a lot of activity in this area. There's the entirety of Birmingham we did recently, the entire region. So we're doing a lot of this work, but what we're trying to do is extend that capability in combination with the region and also with wider data here. So we are building a test bed within Sheffield City region to advance that, and we're hoping to report more about that next year. But we wait, fingers crossed at this point. The last update is using the data from how we track and see individuals in support of older drivers. Obviously, older drivers often have their licenses taken away or discouraged from driving, sometimes prematurely. And what you need to do is you need to look at that particular area to work out why that's the case. So we have now got the world's first, one of 80 projects looking at the elderly generation in terms of technology aids to support them. And one of those 80 projects globally has been awarded to ourselves, the University of Sheffield, Teaching Hospitals and Devices for Dignity, where we're building medical devices or prototype medical devices to understand medical conditions from driving behavior. So we're using the behavior of how people are behaving and moving in order to feed in to clinical assessments and understanding of their safety, particularly when people have their licenses taken away. So we're doing this with a whole range of scientific testing related to the individuals, as well as the on-road driving, which we will gather over this period. It's a 12-month project and it's just started. So this was being undertaken within the Sheffield region and in connection to the driving mobility centres that are supporting a lot of people within the region in terms of their driving assessments later in life. Now, this is also interestingly building up a picture and a background pattern of behaviour linked to vulnerable road users and their use of the road network and how it differs from other people. And this is data that's not previously been available. So it's very useful from a public authority perspective to understand that behaviour of how people then move, particularly in those vulnerable groups. This is obviously ongoing at the moment. There's the main thing, there's user workshops and so on. It's starting in the beginning of next year, and then the driver monitoring occurs with a whole series of devices installed into people's vehicles. And that was it for me. But one quick thing, it might not just be what we're looking at the moment, which is mild cognitive impairment. There's already an extended funding for looking at Parkinson's, and we're also expanding this into 3 countries. By looking at gene sequence deletions on gene 22, which probably no one's ever heard of, but it does affect 1 in 4,000 people globally, and it does have impacts in a whole range of medical settings, and we may be looking at that as well. But all of these are being tested within the Sheffield region to give better care and support for people as they move around and understand those problems better. And that was it from me.
Terrific, thank you. Everybody show your appreciation to Sam.